Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle-earth here with a deep dive video on the Haradrim faction. The Haradrim are data mined requirements for the Witch King, so it makes sense that they're going to be somewhat impactful to the game, but just how much we don't know for sure until the marquee characters that are going to come with the squad are released. However, on stream earlier today, we talked through every single faction in the game, including those that only have like 1 or 2 characters, looking through which different characters individually or teams are going to work well against the Lord Elrond legendary meta we're walking into very, very soon here. And this team, even with just these 3, looks very, very solid based on what they do. And we've got the data mined abilities, or at least short descriptions of the abilities for the 2 other Haradrim in this group. And I want to share them with you guys because I think this team could be absolutely a counter, not even counting Witch King if he's a part of this team. Just the Haradrim by themselves, once you get their additional characters, could be a Lord Elrond counter for sure, and they're also going to be a requirement most likely for the Witch King himself. So stay tuned. I want to break down the Haradrim, why I think they might be a huge surprise to everyone with how good they might end up being, but that's coming up in just 1 second. All right, now one of the reasons that the Haradrim are not really used or tested right now is because there are not 5 of them. So a lot of times people are looking for factions that have at least 5 characters to start messing around with. Isengard, Mordor get a lot of attention. Rohan has 5, but a lot of people just focus on the trio there. But this trio doesn't have a lead, so I don't think it's gotten as much attention from people. I want to break down what they've got going for themselves so far. So first of all, Wlbet, he is the only one farmable not on a hard node, so he's farmable with your guild currency. I would absolutely be using your guild currency on him. You get a lot, so you could probably do both characters, but with him being a very, very likely legendary requirement, it just makes sense to farm him with those because it takes a lot of time. As you can see, I've got 106 out of 30 here. You're going to need 810 total to go 7 stars if you want to do that. So start farming now. Ideally, you know, hopefully weeks and weeks and weeks or even months before we have Witch King as an event coming out where you need him. But start farming him now would be my suggestion because he's not on a hard node. He is one that is kind of time gated every day or as often as your shop refreshes, you can grab him. But he is going to be a tank, the Haradrim tank, one of the Haradrim tanks. So first of all, we have the Axe Mastery ability, which is just damage. Nothing crazy going on here. The just damage basic with no additional effects, which is, it's always a bummer if there's no additional effects, but it is what it is. His next one, though, is the Warrior Spirit. He is going to attack and gain a stack of Provoke. He's also going to cleanse Banes from himself and gain multiple stacks of Provoke and cleanse up to multiple Banes on himself at the max level. So a decent taunt and self-cleanse here, which will be very nice. Again, not specifically going against the Lord Elrond team. The Lord Elrond team's not going to put out a bunch of Banes themselves, but keeping himself clean so he can do the tanking for the team is not a bad thing. Then we have an AoE. Again, AoEs are absolutely king in this game right now, and I think will for a while have a place. Just being able to work around taunt, work around stealth, and do damage to everyone is a very, very big deal. So here we have attack all enemies for 110% damage. This is starting out here with a chance to inflict slow. This is going to increase in damage and guarantee the slow infliction and the duration of that, which reduces the enemy's speed, their turn meter, which is how many times they get to go. So if their speed is reduced, that just means you're going to be going before them in otherwise situations where you would not go before them. So the ability to go first, try and get your ability blocks out there, disables, or just take out enemy heroes before they have a chance to go. Slow is a very, I think, underrated ability. So the AoE slow is a pretty big one there. Then we have when attacking an enemy with the Black Serpent's Poison, which we'll get to in a second, because Black Serpent's Poison is absolutely crazy. So I'm really excited to talk about this. The Black Serpent, if you attack someone that has this Black Serpent Poison, he's going to heal himself for up to 6% of his max health. So 6% of his max health there when he attacks someone with this Black Serpent's Poison. Now, we're going to go to the next characters to get into how we get that and then exactly what Black Serpent's Poison does and why I think this whole squad could absolutely shut down Elrond very potentially. And hypothetical until Elrond's out and we get these things tested, but looking at everyone, I think they are at very close to the top of my list for potential counters. Next up is Robel. Robel is a Haradrim attacker, so a little bit more on the damage end here. We have the Southern Spear, which is a basic attack with damage and turn meter removal, which is very, very good. Again, you've got slow and an AoE. Here you've got an ability on the basic that's going to pull back their turn meter. So again, you're getting to go more often, getting to go before them to make, kind of control the battle a bit more. So turn meter removal or giving yourself turn meter is always a very, very good thing. Then we have here a attack the target and gain 1 stack of Provoke and a stack of defensive at the max level. So not quite as tanky, I don't think, as Wlbet we just looked at, but we do have 2 different Provokes in the squad, which could come in handy if you're really trying to make sure one individual is staying as healthy as possible. but we'll get to that when we talk about the Marquee characters in a second. But we have the attack there with Provoke. Then we have another AoE, so 2 AoEs in this squad. Attack all enemies for 110% damage starting out, and reduce their turn meter, and the turn meter removal is going to be up to 15%. So you're going to reduce everyone's turn meter by 15%. Not to mention, again, the basic has its own turn meter removal. You're going to reduce it by 15, 20, and then 25 at the max level. So 25% reduced turn meter on this one on the basic, and 15 on everyone here. Not to mention they could be slowed down by Wlbet's AoE as well. So already just some what I would call like crowd control type of abilities where you're going more often and controlling the pace of the battle. And lastly, here we have one of the ways that we can get the Black Serpent's Poison. It is on crit, 50% chance to inflict 1 stack of Black Serpent's Poison. And then we have increased chance to do so. So a 50, we have 60 here, 70, 80, and then at the max level, a guaranteed. So whenever Robel lands a critical attack, they are guaranteed at the max level to inflict Black Serpent's Poison. Now, Black Serpent's Poison, you might ask, what is that? Because maybe we don't know what that is yet. And it is this. When this unit receives a boon, so whoever has Black Serpent's Poison, let's say Elrond has this effect on him. You hit Elrond, you punch him with the Southern Spear, you get a critical hit. That's great. You get Black Serpent's Poison on Elrond. When this unit receives a boon, prevent that boon and inflict 1 stack of poison instead. 1 stack of this bane is removed when this effect is triggered. So it's sort of like a disable, which does not allow you to get buffs, except it's like a 1 turn or 1 ability. It's like the provoke. You provoke and taunt. You know, provoke is like a 1 attack taunt. It's like this is like a 1 boon provoke, if that makes sense. But on someone like Lord Elrond, who is going to, if his kit is anything like it is in the game right now, he has a chance to get several, 2-3 stacks of Unbreaking on himself, which means you have to like just keep taking him out over and over again when he gets down to low health. If he has Black Serpent's Poison or multiple stacks of Black Serpent's Poison, it's going to prevent, as many stacks as you have from landing and put poison on him, which is going to do damage to him on his turn, which is very, very crazy. Now, it gets better. It gets better, by the way. So hang in here with me, because all 3 of these guys plus the Marquees, we did it on stream today. I feel like my jaw dropped when I was reading through this stuff, because it just seems crazy to me that I think this squad's going to be nuts when we get them all in the game. Last up here is you have to, by the way, I always have to make this distinction. You have to, if you can't tell, he does not have an arm here, which is awesome. I think he's doing a great job. But on his Fierce Slash ability, there's like this serpent like coming out of his arm. You don't mess with Yef2, okay? Because he has apparently that ability somewhere. So just saying, this team, just for that reason, is good. Anyway, damage on the basic with the Inflict Weaken. So Weaken reduces damage that the enemy is doing. So I think Weaken's a very underrated ability as well. If you can land Weaken on hard-hitting characters, in this case, maybe it's like the Elro here and the enemy Elrond squad, you're trying to just get them not doing as much damage. If you get a Weaken on him, then you can work on other things while he has that. His next hit's going to hit half as hard. So we have Weaken there on the basic. Then we have the Fierce Slash, which is going to attack the target for 170% damage and inflict Expose. So it's going to reduce armor by 50%, opening up the enemy for bigger hits. So this one has pretty big increasing damage. Really reminds me of Azhack in terms of just like the, you go from 170 to 200, 240, 280 to 330 and 380. If I did that math right. And then lastly, his passive effect here is that he gains critical chance. While this character has no banes, he gains an additional 4% critical chance, more critical chance with no banes, critical chance, and more critical chance with no banes. So you do have 2 other characters in your lineup. Again, he is an attacker as well. So you have 2 other characters with Yef2 who provoke, which I think will allow him to stay pretty healthy and hopefully not have banes, which means he's going to very likely be dealing critical hits. Now, kind of would be nice if, Yef2, who's probably going to be dealing a lot of critical hits, had an effect like Robel, where when they land a critical, they're putting out Black Serpent's Poison. Well, with one of the Marquee characters, that actually can happen. They're going to have a passive share. I'm going to pull it up right here so you guys can see. All right, so this is a nice, clean slideshow put together for you guys because, first of all, shout out to Whiskey Tango for telling me there's like an HTML stripper, like websites where you can put in like messy HTML code and it like cleans it all up. So that was very helpful. But this, I'll put a quick picture on the screen so you can know this is pulled from the data mines if you like want to fact check me. these are data mines. We have about 2 Haradrim coming to the game that are in there titled as marquee characters. The first one is for Tybep or Tibep the Sage. Fearless Advance, which is going to be their basic ability. It says Fearless Advance is the basic attack. At later levels, it will also grant morale to an injured ally. Now, morale increases your ally's stats by 10%. So morale is going to increase kind of everything they're doing across the board by 10%. So again, we don't know how much damage it's going to do yet, but he'll do some damage and then give morale out to an injured ally. Again, most injured, I don't know. It just says injured ally. We'll see what that ends up looking like exactly. Then we have Southern Medicine, which allows Tybep the Sage to heal her allies. Allies with morale will receive a bonus to their healing. So maybe someone got beat up a little bit more. They get morale on the basic. The next turn, they're going to have that morale and get additional healing to get really topped off. So you've got a heal of morale. So definitely support kind of healer we're looking at here, which is very good because so far we have 2 attackers and a tank. Next up, we have the Coiled Serpent, which is going to grant haste to Tybep the Sage's squad. Once leveled up, it will also grant might. So if you remember, in this team, we've got an AoE slow, we have turn meter removal on an AoE and a basic. Now we have haste going out, which means we go faster. So they're slower, we're faster. We're pulling back turn meter from abilities, and we're granting the entire squad might, which means we're hitting much harder. So our 2 attackers we have are going to be able to really, really get some stuff done here. So I think that's a fantastic. And this one is the crazy one. This one kind of made my jaw drop. It shouldn't, because it's not. It's like the Phoenix Squad in Galaxy of Heroes if you played that game, in terms of like sharing passives. But it just seems really cool with the Haradrim here, so I'm excited about it. But it is Fight as One is a powerful ability that allows all Haradrim units to benefit from each other's passives. They're all going to share their passives. So just like I said, we have let me pull the game back up here. You have Yef2, who might be landing more of your critical hits with his passive, increasing his critical chance. So he's landing more critical hits. So you'd think, okay, you'd like him to be able to put out Black Serpent's Mark. Well, he can now, because he's going to share Robel's passive. So he's going to put out Black Serpent's Poison whenever he hits. And not only that, Robel here is still going to have her ability and be able to put out Black Serpent's Poison. She is also going to get the increased from the Battle Harden of critical chance. So everyone will be putting out a lot of Black Serpent's Poison. If you can get 2, 3, even more stacks of Black Serpent's Poison on Elrond, and he triggers his Unbreaking stacks, tries to get Nimble, tries to get some kind of a cleanse going, it's going to cancel all those out and put poison on. I think it's going to absolutely shut down. And there's still one more Haradrim character left to look at. So let's pull that up real quick here. Last up is Beckaloo. It says get Beckaloo shards. Heartless Assault is a multi-hitting attack capable of applying several stacks of poison. So Black Serpent's poison is going to put out poison once you put a boon on it. So, or it takes the place of a boon, it'll put poison there. So just more poison going around, just damage over time happening on everyone. Then we have Serpent's Dance, which is his first special. It lets her cleanse herself and an ally of Bane's, while also granting them haste and deadly. More haste, so this team's going to be going very quickly, a lot more often than the enemy, especially if you're slowing them down with the rest of the team with the Terminator removal. Deadly, which means that they have a increased critical chance, I believe. Yeah, I wanted to double check myself just to make sure I'm saying the right stuff. Deadly is the critical chance increased by 30%, so she's putting that out on the allies as well. And just if you were curious about the morale, that's a little bit further down here. Here is the morale, which is all growth stats are increased by 10% we talked about earlier on the other kit. So we have the first special here with the cleanse, granting haste and deadly. So again, more speed, more damage, keeping him kind of cleansed up, which is very good. Again, not even the cleanse isn't so needed for the Elrond team, but a lot of the other evil teams like the Isengard team and the Mordor team are pretty Bane heavy. So a team that might do well against the Elrond team and also still, fend off the Isengard and Mordor teams that people have is not a bad thing. Then we have the second special here, which is the Serpent's Fang. It's an attack which can be done alongside Wlbet, so it's a dual attack. It also applies a unique Bane Black Serpent's Mark. Now, we don't know what Black Serpent's Mark is yet. It's not, there are different things here. We have Black Serpent's Poison. Again, unless the wording has changed, which I don't think so. Again, maybe it is just Black Serpent's Poison and it's misworded, but I don't know if that's the case. But there could be an actual unique Bane to this character, being a marquee character. That's very possible. Or it could be referencing Black Serpent's Poison, but they are titled different. So if it's Black Serpent's Poison, I feel like that's actually very good. If it's something else that's even better, potentially, that's maybe like an undispellable poison of some kind. that could also be crazy. Again, I'm leaning on the side that maybe it is something different because it does call it a unique Bane. Now, I still think Black Serpent's Poison is pretty unique, so it could just mean that, but it could be some kind of ability like Marked, which forces a character to taunt on the enemy side. So it could be some kind of a forced taunt that poisons. I don't know. Lots of ideas there, but we'll have to see once we get the actual kit reveal here. And lastly, the passive here is Graceful Blades allows Beckaloo to speed herself up and slow her enemies down when she critically strikes. So again, if she critically hits, I don't know if that's just going to give out slow to the enemy and speed to herself if it's that simple, or if there's actual turn meter, just removal and addition happening. Either way though, remember we have shared passives. So now every single person in the squad is going to have a passive that when they critically hit, they're putting out Black Serpent's Poison. It's either inflicting slow or slowing them down by some means of turn meter removal or just the Bane, and you're speeding yourselves up, which again just means that this team, we have to do the math and see what it equals out to, but there's a very good chance you're going to be going multiple times before, like, you know, you could be going 2 to 1 times easily to your opponents, depending on who you're going up against, because if they're just being slowed down over and over again, they have turn meter removed, all that kind of stuff, it's going to be very, very annoying to deal with. But that is the breakdown of the Haradrim team. Again, I am extremely excited, probably more excited than a team in the game right now. They just seem really interesting. I like the passive share. I'm a big fan of the team synergies, so seeing a team that has it, that I think will play well in what's going to be the meta for a little while with Lord Elrond, I really believe it will be. Seeing a team that I think will play well in that is very exciting. Again, these marquee characters are data mines. We don't know when they'll be in the game exactly, but I think once we have Lord Elrond, we'll start getting announcements on the next set of characters, which I think will be this group right here. So like I've said in my video earlier today, or yesterday at this point, if you are not farming Lord Elrond, if you're not paying to unlock the marquees to get him done, you might want to consider farming the Haradrim and saving some gems, because this team, if you give yourself enough time, could be obtained free to play. Again, no promises, but if you planned out and had enough time, you could definitely kind of get ahead of the curve and get this team, which by itself seems like it could be really, really cool. And there are going to be requirements for the Witch King, which I talked about in my video. I'll link up at the top right on Witch King requirements. So not only do you get yourself a nice shiny Witch King, which may or may not play in this squad at all, but you get yourself a Haradrim team that I think could themselves be fantastic. And we're going to get to the point in this game where there's multi-team PvP happening. They've already talked about it in the dev Q&A. So it's going to be happening. You're going to want multiple teams. But seriously, I am stoked about this Haradrim team. I can't wait to start farming them after I get the Lord Elrond stuff taken care of. These guys are the next on my list. So let me know down below what you guys think about this team. Am I overreacting? Do these seem as potentially OP as I think they could be? I think the passive share, the Black Serpent Poison, all that stuff looks nasty, but I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts down below. So let me know. And as always, I'll see you guys in a future video.